Welcome to 29 to Life.
The podcast where two nearly 30-year-olds are still trying to figure out their 20s.
I'm Annie.
And I'm Lucy.
Come and join us as we figure it all out together. Sorry, I feel like I've got oregano stuck in my teeth.
Oh my god. That's fine.
Or I've just got severe plaque.
Great.
I think it's the oregano though. I hope it is. What's been going on?
Well, what hasn't been going on? Everything, a little bit of everything. You know what I mean?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I feel like that's a song, but I now don't know what it is.
I did feel an energy of the Spice Girls about it, but then I panicked.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, see,
Yeah, hold tight.
Side note, speaking of the Spice Girls,
Yeah.
I was obsessed with them when I was little.
Oh my god, me too.
I had this little. Do you remember back in the day when TVs were like full chunky boxes?
Of course, we had
And
one.
there were those weird little mini ones that you could have. I used to have a little
Yes.
mini one in my room.
Yeah.
That had a little VHS included
Yeah.
in it. I used to come home from school and watch Spice Girls live from Istanbul pretty much every afternoon.
Oh my god, amazing. Did you love the film Spice World?
I did, but I preferred Spice Girls live from Istanbul.
Really?
Really weird.
Oh, I loved that film. I thought it was iconic.
Spice World, amazing, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but there's something about the chokehold the Istanbul one had on me.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, we're going to have to find it.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. Send me the
Something
link.
else. There was like all this BTS of them like preparing to go on stage in
Oh.
Istanbul, and
Do you know what? I'm an absolute sucker for behind the scenes stuff. I love it, and I think this is why I'm putting on our socials a lot of behind the scenes stuff for our own
I feel
pleasure.
like most of my life for the last few years has been behind the scenes because of work.
Yeah, I just love it.
Been behind every scene.
Yeah, every sort of film, TV series that I really love, any actor I love, I'm like, oh my god, it gives me life.
Yeah.
When they put out behind the scenes stuff, I'm like, I'm just a nosy bitch.
It's funny though because I'll be like watching stuff that I've worked on, which I don't do very often, but if I do, I'll be like, I was behind that tree. Or like, I cued them to come in that scene.
Oh my god.
So yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
should we get into this episode?
Yeah, we should.
It's over to you again.
Oh yeah, it is.
Every time she forgets.
Every time. You know what? I need to prepare myself mentally. Here is my beautiful jingle. Lucy's Loves and Loathes.
Again, I'll say it again. I'm always really proud of those jingles. It took me
Yeah, you
a
should
solid
be.
6 hours to make a decision on them all.
Yeah, I know. Proud of you for that.
By God.
But
I
I love
did
it.
it.
You know? You did. Proud of you.
Thank
Anyway,
you.
enough about you. All about me now.
Okay, sorry. I'll just be quiet.
So in this week's Lucy's Loves and Loathes, that was quite sexy, wasn't it? My love of the week is all things self-care, I think.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah, I'm really trying to emphasise.
Yeah.
I know you were going to cut me out. I'm going to.
I held it in.
Yeah, you did. I'm going to stop you right there. All things self-care. So I'm in a routine now of getting my nails done and keeping
Love
that,
that.
On point. I do my own eyebrows, like tint them and everything at home.
What? I
Yeah.
couldn't do that. I was too scared.
Oh no! I've done it
Impressive.
for years now, and I hadn't done it in ages, and I did it this week, and I was like, refresh, revamp, love that, and just really taking care of my skin. I like to do that anyway, always have, and got a skincare routine, but like really properly getting into it because I feel like I go through phases of I know this is good for me, but it's just like it's another thing
It's
to
tiring,
do,
yeah.
and it's tiring. But then I'm trying to get into it and be like, no, we're coming into the spring months. Come on, let's.
Do you know what?
Keep
This
doing
might
it.
be helpful to you.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from with that because it is really difficult to upkeep so many different things for your
Yes.
self-care regimes.
Yeah.
I created what I like to call a lazy routine. So a
Yes.
lazy routine is your bare minimum that means your skin stays nice, your teeth stay nice, all of that.
Yeah, and I think I'm trying to figure that out as well. Because there's almost like that guilt of, I haven't done that
Yeah.
properly. And I've got to get out of my own head about that.
And every time that you either don't do it or you do a lazy version, you're like, I could have just done. Actually, 9 times out of 10, when I start the idea of a lazy version, I end up doing the whole thing.
Yes.
But you kind of feel the difference. When you've done everything you want for your self-care, you're like, I feel great.
Yeah.
I'm like a greased kipper.
Exactly. Oh, I feel lovely. Yeah. And all the lotions and potions and all that jazz. But yeah, but I'm really putting emphasis on that because I've always enjoyed it.
But it makes you feel good.
But it makes me feel good, and I'm trying to incorporate that in my just daily routine and embrace it, and actually set aside time for myself to do that because I do enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Love that love.
Love that love.
What's she been loathing?
My loathing, which is a bit of a contradiction of like looking after myself and whatever. But I'm really, really bloody bored of figuring out what to do for dinners and what to eat and what
I get you.
buy at the supermarket. And I hate food shopping. So if anybody ever sees me in a supermarket and you think, bloody hell, she hasn't even acknowledged me, hasn't even said hi, my head is down. I am going through those aisles. I am in and out. It's a ninja operation. I don't want to be there.
I have two, I don't know about you, but I have two versions of going to the supermarket, which is, one is I have a list, I have prepared, I know what I need, I know what I want.
Yes.
And I'm powering through.
Yes.
Going down those aisles, and I ignore the aisles where I know I don't need anything, and I'm just succinct, I'm to the point.
Love that.
And then I have those days where I'm just like, la 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 la. And I just wander around and I go, should I have this? Should I have that? Oh, look at this. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just like a prancing pony going through the aisles.
I do have those things. Or do you ever just have a snack run to the supermarket?
Oh yeah, sometimes you just need a snack. You don't need a full meal.
Yeah. But I just hate it. And don't get me wrong, I've got a note in my notes app of all different meals that I love to prepare and love to have and all of that. It's just sometimes I don't want to have to think about it. I don't want to have to think, Monday I'm going to have this, Tuesday I'm going to have that. But back in the day, I was really good at meal prepping.
Yeah, I give so much credit to meal preppers. It's hard.
Yeah, and I used to meal prep all my lunches for the week and know exactly what I was going to have for dinner. And it was just like, actually, I don't have the energy. I don't have the strength. I don't want to put thought into it. But at the same time, I know I need to.
Yeah. Do you think maybe it's because you work from home more now that you don't have that?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't necessarily have to arrange your meals that way because you can decide when you want them at home.
Yes, but do you know what that also does? It also makes me run right down to the very, very bare minimum.
Oh yeah,
I can't be bothered to go out anywhere.
I was like block of cheese, bit of tofu and a cracker the other week.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I literally just a bit of pasta and like a stir and serve sauce.
You're living off dried goods.
Living off dried goods, tins, whatever.
I get you.
I just can't be bloody bothered. And I need some inspiration to get myself back into it.
I cooked a meal for you that you seem to enjoy. So
yeah, that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
You take that on with you. I'll send you the recipe.
Yes, please, because I really enjoyed that, and that is going to be added to my list.
We're making it sound quite mysterious. It's just a soup.
It is, but it's really, really good.
It's like a pastery soup thing.
Yeah, really good. But also, another thing, which I think leads us on quite nicely into what we're, later going to discuss, or just hold on to that for a brief second. Another reason why I don't like going to the supermarket is because a few months ago when I went to the supermarket after work, a guy literally followed me round the supermarket.
Just why?
Right? All because I said, oh, excuse me, to get a pasta sauce. And then he complimented my nails. And I was like, oh, thank you very much. Thought that was the end of the exchange, right?
I mean, any normal person probably would think that was the end of the exchange.
Absolutely. He followed me then round the supermarket. And when he saw that I went to put all my stuff on the conveyor belt to check out, he then purposely put his stuff on the conveyor belt behind me and proceeded to try and ask me out, okay, and ask for my number. Can I just say, ew, an ick? Also, he was a middle-aged man. Oh. And it really, really freaked me out. But anyway, more on that later all of that. But I that's another reason I hate supermarkets.
I feel like, we'll get into that a bit later. Yeah. I have thoughts.
Yes. But that was my loves and lows of the week.
Well, thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Okay. Time for... Put another slang on the Barbie. My thing. Oh, I went short this week because I felt last week's was quite long.
Yeah, it was. And it just stumped me.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
What a grouse snag. I feel like it's the accent throws you off, maybe.
Yeah, but I love it in the accent. But yeah, can you do it in a normal British tone?
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
What a grouse snag.
Grouse snag.
She's unsure again.
She's unsure. Doesn't matter whether it's short or long. She's unsure.
She needed it gentrified this time.
Yeah, I did. Because I couldn't really make out that first word.
What a grouse snag.
What a grouse snag.
It's the fact that you could have just said something completely offensive and you just went with it anyway.
Oh.
By repeating what I said.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, apologies. Apologies. That was just internal thoughts coming outwards.
Hey, look, you know 2 of the words. You're 50% there. What an A. You've learnt them before.
Yeah. What an annoyance. What a piss take. What a do, Shaddy.
What it do? No.
No.
Not even close.
No.
It's what a really great sausage.
Are you fucking having a laugh?
No.
What a great sausage.
Grouse is like, oh, that's really cool. That's really great. Oh, that's grouse.
Grass.
Grouse.
Grouse.
Like mouse, but with GR in front of it.
I know, I was trying to do it with an accent. That's why.
I thought you were saying grass.
No.
Grass.
No. I was trying to do it with the Australian accent. Obviously, that didn't pay off. So anyway.
And snag is a sausage.
Wow, okay.
Sausage sizzle, snag sizzle. Do you not know what a sausage sizzle is?
Do I look like the type
you look
of
really
person
confused.
that would know what a sausage
So
sizzle?
let me
Sizzle? Whatever.
sizzle.
Sizzle. See, I can't even speak. It's thrown me for a loop that I am like, I can't speak.
To break it down for you, there is a chain of hardware, kind of your B&Q home-based equivalent in Australia called Bunnings.
Oh, I've heard of this.
And they do a sausage sizzle, which is basically just like they cook sausages outside and you get a piece of white bread, turn it around and put it in sideways like a hot dog. But it has to be bread. It's not a hot dog roll. It has to be bread.
Oh, interesting.
And they're either free or like $1 to buy.
Okay.
Just Bunnings seems to do like their Saturday sausage sizzle for some reason.
I love that.
So random. A grouse snag, basically. You would have heard that at a Bunnings sausage sizzle.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
It's like the equivalent of my local B&Q having like a burger van outside, because a lot of people love to go to B&Q and then get something greasy after.
But it's sort of more like a Village Fete vibe of like a little marquee tent, like a pop-up.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, it's not that grand as a burger van. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I like that. Had no idea.
But grouse is a great word.
Grouse.
That's grouse.
Interesting.
Yeah. There you go.
Thanks.
You learned something new.
Always.
As always, you can check us out on our social pages. We have an Instagram, we have a YouTube, we have a TikTok page, all with the same handle, at 29 to life pod.
And then you can also send us a cheeky email, which is 29tolifepod@gmail.com.
Perfect. Okay. Dating.
Dating. The wonderful world of dating.
It can be amazing. It can be absolutely horrendous at times.
Yeah.
But it's, you don't have to do it. You can do it. It's a thing.
Well, absolutely. And as we know, you
get accosted in the supermarket.
I get accosted in the supermarket.
There's just something about the way you pick up your stirring sauces that really, really attracts a man like a moth to a flame.
Well, absolutely, clearly. I clearly, in my after-work apparel to quickly run to the supermarket, it's the best I've ever looked, apparently.
Maybe it's because you're like strong, independent, you're on a mission.
Yeah, maybe.
No holds barred.
I feel like I do give off that vibe.
Mm.
But I wasn't appreciative.
Can I tell you my thought that I had earlier?
Yes,
so when you told me this story. So I think that would have been far less strange. So if you'd have said, excuse me, got your sauce. He said, oh, I like your nails. And you're like, oh, thank you. And then it was sort of a more organic thing of you just then happened to bump into each other at the checkouts. Yeah. And he was like, oh, I've been thinking about you since I saw your nails. And would you fancy a date? I think that would have probably been fine. And even if you weren't interested in him, you wouldn't have felt threatened by him then.
Yes. Yeah,
so you would have been like, oh, that was, pretty brave of him to ask me out in that circumstance. And that was nice. But I think the following around, he just clearly just missed a social cue there.
It was the following around. And I don't hang about in the supermarket, right? And I was darting up and down those aisles because I wanted to get out of there, especially after I noticed that he was following me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, because he only had a basket, I had a trolley, so I was thinking he was going to go to the self-checkouts, and I was like, great, I will go to a normal checkout, not that I normally do, and like try and put a bit of distance. And he spotted me, and he purposely came right up behind me, and he was trying to engage in conversation, and I was like, oh, you know, clearly very, very uncomfortable. And he was just like, you want to be my friend?
Oh,
you can be my friend. Give me your number.
That's not the way to do it.
Let's get to know each other. And I was like, red flag, red flag.
No.
No. But do you know what? I will applaud the worker on the checkout, though. He noticed that I was really uncomfortable. And when I came to check out my stuff, he engaged in conversation with me. And like, because at that point, I was just like, for God's sake, why me? Why me? Like, I've gone years without males not really giving me attention, and now I'm being accosted in a supermarket by a middle-aged old man who's stalked me around it.
Yeah. And
when I say that I fled so quickly, I got outside, I picked up both bags, shoved the trolley back in the little
oh my God, even when feeling threatened, you were polite enough to put the trolley back.
Absolutely.
Anyone who doesn't put a trolley back, you're a cretin.
Exactly. I am a woman of the people. And I ran to my car and I got into it and locked it straight away, and I zoomed off that car park like it was nobody's business.
I bet. I was a bit of a late bloomer, I think, when it came to dating.
I am still a late bloomer when it comes to dating. Honestly, and this is me being completely candid right now, my first official date that I went on was last summer. Like, I haven't dated. Don't get me wrong, the dating apps have been in and out of my life since I was 18 years old, right? Yeah. And speaking to people and whatever. But properly, a date, my first one wouldn't have been until last summer, which I just don't put myself out there. Never have. I feel like I give off a lot of friendly banter vibes. Yeah. So when it comes to guys, I feel like because I give off that energy, it's like I give off friend energy, which is fine, but that has also hindered me in the past when I have been interested in someone and it's just gone downhill.
I feel like the way that our parents experience dating is so different to how we as a generation are experiencing it, because we turned 18 and then all of a sudden there's dating apps are around.
Yeah.
And that completely changed the face of dating, sometimes in a positive way. I've a lot of success stories are from people who've met on dating apps and found each other, and they would have never found each other had they not have been on that app, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But there are also so many negatives to dating apps in general, which we can get into a bit later.
Yeah.
Not just safety and all of that, but I think it's made people much more impatient than they probably would have been before dating apps existed.
Yes.
You would, I think, give someone more of a chance if you didn't know, okay, so they're from this town, they grew up here, because you'd be asking them those questions and wanting to find those things out about them in an organic conversation. You wouldn't just go, okay, they're this age, that's their birthday. Oh, I can see the last 5 years of their experiences in a photo form on their Instagram.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have known that before dating apps.
No.
It was much easier to say, hi, nice to meet you, and
meeting people in an organic way, either through friends or a coffee shop or on a night out or something.
Which is still possible now, but there's just less of an emphasis on it.
Yeah.
Because it's the easy route, that instant gratification route, of which we always love. We love a bit of instant gratification chat on here.
Yeah.
But it just always comes back to that. It's much easier to go on an app and say, this is what I'm looking for. The algorithm's going to show me exactly exactly the same thing for other people, that they're looking for the same thing as me, which is just crazy. So for us, I think I had a lot going on when I was a teenager, so I didn't, in my personal life, so I didn't really get involved in like I say didn't get involved in dating as a teenager, but I don't think you properly date as a teenager. I think you like people, you tell people you like them, and then you kind of maybe go on one date and you're either a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Do you know what I mean? It's not like that process of adult dating. It's very different as an adult.
Yeah.
So
scary as an adult.
I think uni is probably where I first experienced proper dating.
Did you go like properly out on dates?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And some of them were lovely, some of them were something else.
What was your worst date experience?
Well, actually, I was, it's quite funny. I was talking to one of my really good friends about this a couple of months ago when I went to stay with her.
Right.
And we were talking about, because she came to London for a year.
Okay.
And she had some questionable dating experiences during that year, which we were reminiscing about and laughing about and all of that. And then I was telling her about when I was dating at uni, and I can't believe I'd never told her the story, but because we live in different countries, it probably just didn't come up. I had downloaded Tinder. It was when Tinder was in its infancy and it wasn't a gross hookup app. It actually, people were using it for what it was being advertised for.
Yeah.
So I went on Tinder and I was, swiping away, and you do it with your group of friends of an evening and all of that. And there was this this profile of this Highland cow that came up. It was literally just pictures of a Highland cow, and it was called Boris. And it was like, oh, let's do a blind date. And I was like, okay. When I first saw it, I didn't really think that much of it. I just was like, oh, that's really funny. So I just swiped it and didn't think anything else. And then we matched like a few days later, I think. And the Boris, the cow, sent me a message like, let's go for a drink. And I was like, okay, that's refreshing. And I have to talk to someone for like 3 weeks before they ask me out. Because that's the other thing. It sort of makes the dating apps make it, oh, let's get to know each other on this weird little box rather than in person.
We'll get into that later.
So it was refreshing to see, let's just go on a date. And I was like, oh, I don't actually know anything about this cow.
I wouldn't have expected.
He's called Boris, and I think he's a Highland cow. He's not a dairy cow, that's for sure. So I was like, should I do it? I don't know. And I ummed and ahed, and I ended up telling some friends at uni about it. And they were like, okay, so you could go or you could not go. There are your options. You could say, okay, no, I think this isn't safe. I'm not going to go. They were like, or you could go and put loads of things in place to make you feel safe and make you able to leave at any point. So they're like, if you drive, you can only have one drink.
Yes.
And if we know where you're going, when you're going, if you keep your Find My Friends on, we'll be just around the corner just in case.
Absolutely. Then
you probably could go. Like there's a chance that this might be a real person and not someone super weird.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, do you know what? I think it was also being 19 and stupidly naive as well. I was like, I'm going to go on a date with the mystery cow.
Love it. What a great story for afterwards.
I honestly, I'd kind of forgotten about it until I was talking about dates with my friend. And so I went off to this bar. I couldn't tell you. It was somewhere in Bath, like some underground cocktail bar that I'd never heard of. He arranged the date.
Okay.
Which again, it's like all of there's a massive red flag in the fact that he's got a cow as a profile picture and he's pretending he wants to do blind dates. That's a bit weird because it puts him at an advantage. He knows who he's looking for, you don't.
Yeah.
But there were also green flags within that, in that
humour.
It was funny. There was humour. He was actively organising things.
Yeah.
He, didn't just chat to me for ages. He was like, let's go on a date. He was proactive. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm doing this. And I walk in. Obviously, he knows what I look like. I don't know what he looks like. So I'm just like sort of awkwardly like, Boris? Hello? Just mooing in the corner. And this guy eventually stands up. And I was like, oh, he's a small man. Not that matters, but I had seen a cow as a profile picture, so I didn't actually know what to expect. And I was like, it suddenly made me feel like a giant.
Yes.
And he wasn't just like small as in short, but he was just very small in stature. And I was like, I feel like I would crush you if I accidentally fell on you.
Yeah.
Like you would possibly pass away if that happened. So not to shame him, it's fine.
No.
It made me feel like I was gargantuan, basically. He was also a bit older than I thought he was going to be.
Oh, right, okay.
So at this point, I was 19, and I think he must have been probably 34. And I was like, that's quite the age gap. I was like, okay, I just need to get out of my own head. I'll have a drink. And we sort of chatted, and he was a bit mansplainy, and he was in a suit, so he was dressed nicely. And it just, I don't know, he just sort of came across quite arrogant. And I was like,
was he a finance bro?
I honestly can't remember. I genuinely don't remember his real name either.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We had one drink and then I was like, you know what, Boris, I'm off.
Yeah.
Thanks for the evening. And I'm very thankful you're not a murderer, but I'm out.
Yeah.
So I had a blind date with a cow, basically.
That's epic.
He did, I think about a year later, randomly text me.
Oh, really?
And I was like, whose number is this? Like, I couldn't remember who it was. And then I put two and two together and I was like, oh, it's Boris. But it was just the most
awkward?
No, it wasn't awkward. It was like off the wall, crazy, vulgar message that he sent me out of nowhere. I was like, whoa.
No.
Like, in what world would I reply to this nicely?
Was there a picture attached?
No, there was no picture.
Okay.
Thank God. But it was just, and I was with someone else at the time that I was kind of seeing. And he was like,
God.
what? That's so unacceptable. You shouldn't accept that. And yeah.
Jesus.
Don't go on blind dates with cows is my advice.
No.
And yeah, I feel like not many people know that story.
I'm privileged to now know it because that's epic. Thank you for sharing.
Looking back, like, it's a funny story, but it's so stupid.
It is stupid.
I could have been murdered, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I did put safety mechanisms in place.
Yeah, of course.
But still, it was silly.
I think, do you know what? I think that's why I get in my own head about things anyway. But even though I was on Tinder when it had just come out, 18-year-old, in Bath, at uni, whatever, I would talk to people, but then I thought, oh, I've scared myself because I could be killed.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Something could happen.
It's that thing of, I don't feel safe. I don't know if I feel safe. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm backing out of it. But also sometimes it's scary because it makes you emotionally vulnerable and you're like, oh, could I like this person? I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah,
so,
that too.
But I get you because there's so many documentaries about Tinder murders and...
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it was a confidence thing for me as well. But going back to the whole meeting Boris and, you know, even though you didn't have any expectations, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, he's a bit shorter than what I thought. Even though that's nothing against him or anything.
Personal preference.
It's personal preference, isn't it? But like when I went on this date with a guy last summer, he was really lovely. We had a really nice first date and there wasn't really any awkwardness. We had a really nice conversation. Yeah. But when I arrived, I'm a tall woman, right? It felt like I had to bend down to like give a hug. And for me, it's personal preference. Even though that's got nothing to do with him, and it probably makes me seem so vain and so sort of like up myself. It doesn't though,
because, you know, you have to go for what you're attracted to.
Yeah. Nothing to do with him. It's just, in my mind, because I'm a tall woman, I'm not asking for some 6'5" guy, but I am...
Well, you're not saying no.
Well, I'm not saying no, not at all. But I am after someone who's either a similar height to me or a little bit taller. Because that's my personal preference, but that's my own like badge for having that sort of expectation.
But the thing is, I also would say, because I've dated people who are shorter than me as well, or the same height as me in the past. Yeah. And there were some people that I really, really liked that were shorter than, like, they didn't come into it. Do you know what I mean? So I understand personal preference, but I would also say that sometimes if you really like someone, things that you thought were your tick list of what you wanted don't matter as much.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just, I think it was very clear. We had a nice time and we had things in common and it lovely. Yeah. Right? But it just, I think we both mutually agreed like, nah. Yeah. Which is A-okay because I could have put him off with how I look or how I came across or whatever. So
Boris wasn't my very first date because I would have never gone on my very first date being a blind date.
So what was your very, very first date?
I can't remember, but I definitely had a couple of dates with different people before Boris.
And I love that for you. And I wish almost now I put myself out there a little bit more when I was younger because I really haven't.
I had one that was, I think we spoke about this with one of our other friends because this is like probably 10 years after the date that we both enjoyed. Right. We're 90% sure it was the same person.
Oh, yes. I was just thinking, which story is this? Yeah.
So, I won't go into explicit details, but
it's a good one.
We both had been on Tinder, and I'm going to have to change the name of the person.
Brian.
I was going to say Carlos.
Oh, okay. A bit spicy. All right.
Yeah.
Carlos.
We didn't know at the time. And it's funny that it was around the same time, but we never knew until years later.
That is...
Neither of us, and I'd like to say neither of us dated this Carlos guy seriously. It was very much a one date and never again situation.
Can you tell how much I am loving this story?
Yeah. So he lived 15 minutes away from Bath. I'm not going to say where he lived, just in case someone manages to figure out who it is. Carlos from 15 minutes away from Bath. I think everyone knows where that is.
Yeah.
He got the train to Bath. with his little backpack, and
Oh, ick.
he didn't even like want to go on a date anywhere with me. He was just like, oh, let's just watch TV together. And I was like, I was young, I was naive, I didn't realise that was
Netflix
he was
chill.
Yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, I know some good TV shows.
My Netflix account is popping off.
So he comes over, and like this is when I had a single bed at uni, but I had a single bed the entire time. So
you?
yeah, it was rough out there.
Oh dear.
So he comes over and we start watching TV, and we watched like a couple of documentaries, blah blah blah, and then he awkwardly tries to kiss me.
Oh no.
And I thought
that.
I was about to be sucked into another dimension.
No. Oh Jesus.
It was quite an experience, and I was a little frightened.
Yeah.
And so then after that really not so passionate moment that we shared, he was like, oh, let's watch something else. And I was like, okay, what do you want to watch? And he was like, oh, the Brony documentary, which is Brony is an adult fan of My Little Pony. And I was like,
no.
I was like,
stop.
Why does he want to
there.
watch this documentary so much? And he was really invested in it. And I think perhaps he was a brony.
No. Ick. Red flag.
And then I just remember him being like, oh, I've missed the last train. Can I stay here? And I was like, what? Well, I don't really want you to. You stay, we'll top and tail it, mate. And you're not coming near me again. But then years later, I was talking about this experience, and our other friend said, hang on, was this his name? Was this where he lived? And did he look like this? And I was like, yes. And she was like, I went on a date with him, and I think he kissed me the same way.
Yeah.
So it was the kissing that linked it together, really.
Yeah.
So that was quite funny. And we were like, oh my God, we're coochie cousins. Not that either of us had slept with him, but it was just quite funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah, but I don't
I forgot about the whole brony thing. I'm sorry. That's just no.
It's too much. To go back, I don't remember the actual first date I ever went on. It obviously wasn't that momentous. So,
No.
but I had Boris, I had Carlos, I had
Oh, all right. She's listing them.
some other really just disappointing dates. So I
yeah.
didn't really have a massively positive experience. I didn't have any horrific. I never felt unsafe, and I was very fortunate to not be in any of those kinds of situations.
Yeah, of course.
But I wouldn't say I had I don't think I've ever had an incredible date. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Like, wow, that was so much fun. And even if it doesn't go anywhere, I had the best time.
Yeah, no. I definitely haven't.
Yeah.
But that's because I don't make myself go on dates.
I feel like you kind of have to wade through a lot of mud to get to the clear water with dating. So
do you know what? I think that's one of the mental blockers for me, because I can't be arsed with that. Can't be. I know that's a part of life, and everyone is like, oh, you just got to do it. Put yourself out there. But I'm just like, why would I want to waste time going on shit dates? Do you know what I mean? Like, why am I putting my energy into that? But then again, that's unavoidable.
So, okay, let's reframe it. You don't want to go on shit dates. What would your kind of ideal date, perfect date, what would you want from a date? What do you think you would enjoy? Or what do you want the other person to give on that date? What do you want to learn about them? What do you want to do with them?
Wow, so many questions been thrown at me all at the same time.
That all encapsulates like a good date.
To be honest, I've never really thought about my ideal date. Like, honestly, never thought about it.
Well, you better start.
But I better start. I need to figure out my dating wants and
needs.
Yeah.
We all have needs.
Yeah, tell me about it. I don't know. I think because I like to have a laugh and a joke with people, I feel like that is always my way to sort of get on common ground with people, whether that is meeting a friend of a friend, you know, in social situations, work. I like to have that common ground with people, and I use humour to do that.
Yeah.
I would like to have a laugh with somebody, whatever we're doing, even if it's like bowling or mini golf or something.
Make it fun.
Make it fun. Let's have a laugh. Let's have banter. Let's find our common ground of things that we like to do or common interests. Just something that isn't too serious. I don't really do serious, to be honest.
I think you do eventually. You have to eventually.
Yeah.
But I understand. Like,
but
a first date doesn't need to be that intense. It needs to be lighthearted. It needs to be. But you do need to kind of get a feel for what the other person's about.
Absolutely. And this is why when I went on a date last summer, he was a keen bean, which is lovely to have that quality about you and us going on a date. But he was just like, let's do dinner. And I was like, let's go for a drink. Because let's be honest, going out for dinner is like a couple of dates in, right? Or
I mean, I do think it depends on the person.
Yeah. But for me, very new to dating and testing out the waters, I'm not going to go out on a dinner date with somebody the first date. It's not going to happen, so don't ask.
Out of interest, had you made that clear to him that you were taking it slow with dating and you were okay?
Yeah. I'm very open and transparent about that.
The red flag that I'm seeing there is that he, at the very first hurdle, has fallen because he's not listened to something you've said.
Yeah.
He's got caught up in his own excitement and feelings about wanting to go on a date with you, that he's not actually listened to you saying, this would be a bit overwhelming for me. I'd rather start smaller.
Yeah. I made my thoughts clear about that. I wanted to go on a date with him because we had spoken quite a lot before the date, which now looking back, I think maybe me going forward with dating, let's sort of save that for the actual date.
Yeah.
That was a learning curve for me.
I think it's different if you've met on an app compared to in person, because if you've met in person and you happen to bump into each other and you chatted, whatever, or you're texting because you've already met in person, I think that's different to meeting on an app having never met in person, because you don't want to get an idea of someone that is different to what they're like in real life.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you might get the wrong idea, they might get the wrong idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And it turned out, even though it was a nice date, like I have said previously, afterwards, with reflection, because hindsight is a great thing, and having conversations with my friends about this date, there was a few red flags afterwards, and I was like, okay, I've avoided in the nicest possible way, thank God.
But also it's you have to figure out what you want and what you need and what are your deal breakers and all those kinds of things, and you're absolutely have to have this can't be non-negotiables.
Yes. And I thought I had that. I thought I'd had that in my mind of definite wants and needs and what I would feel happy with approaching dating, right? But I feel like that's potentially changed, and I feel like that is going to change with me dating as well.
I think that's natural. It changes as you experience different things, as you age, as as your circumstances change. Yeah. It changes. But also I think it's not a rigid set of rules, because otherwise that's impossible. It's almost like trying to put a square peg in a round hole. You just can't do it. You're isolating yourself if you do that.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that you can be very firm on the things that you think you deserve.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's not excessive. It's not like I deserve a Porsche for Christmas and
no,
it's I deserve someone who can emotionally communicate with me. I deserve someone who respects me and values me. Those kinds of things are things that I think are non-negotiables, and people do that. You find people who will do that.
Yeah.
Obviously there's lots of losers who don't.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to wade through them to get to the nice people.
Yeah.
And it is possible to find love, we can get into love languages as well.
Oh yeah.
It's possible to find someone who wants to give what you need and that you can give them what they need. So it's like the giving and the needing lines up with those people, so you're compatible in that sense. You could be really different people and what you want could be different to what they want.
Yeah.
But if you know how to give them what they want and they know how to give you what you want, it still works.
Yeah.
It does change over time, and it does change person to person as well.
Do you think yours, over the years, because you've got a lot more experience with dating than I have, right? Has that changed a lot for you, or have you noticed what your wants and needs are and noticed how much that's changed?
Well, I think it's been more to do with me looking at myself rather than other people. Okay, interesting. So yeah, I've gone, okay, because I've had a little hiatus from dating because I was hurt a couple of times in a row by different people, and that knocked my confidence, and it also just made me close myself off because I was like, why am I being vulnerable if I'm then being hurt and taken advantage of and disrespected? No. And some of my friends have been trying for years to get me to go on dates again. And I'm just like, no, I'm not doing it. And I've used every single excuse under the sun. I've been like, no, I'm still getting over this person, or no, I don't feel body confident. I don't feel this. I don't feel that. I want to focus on work. I want to, get my own flat. I've used so many different things
Same here.
as an excuse to not do it, because deep down the real reason was I've been hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm still licking my wounds. Don't get me wrong, sometimes it's not just me. Circumstances change. You have experiences and you just don't have the bandwidth to think about that. And that's okay. But also, it can't get to the point where if you genuinely want to have a partner, you can't expect that to just magically appear one day.
Yeah, no.
If you're not willing to go and put yourself out there and, wade through the mud. So.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people that are close to me think that I think that way.
Yeah.
And it's not true. It isn't. And I want to rectify that. I don't think that my perfect ideal match of a man is just going to appear at my doorstep one day. I'm very aware that I have to put myself out there and find out what I want and what I need, and, find those connections with other people. I'm very aware of how the world works, right? Yeah. But at the same time, it's very, very difficult, or I've found it very difficult, to put myself out there for so many reasons. And like you've just said, give excuse after excuse. And I've used excuses over the years as well. But it's just because I just feel like I go through periods of like, why would anyone want to date me? Why? Yeah. Why?
That comes down to like self-esteem and everything. And that's
absolutely, because I've had things in the past, and don't get me wrong, this hasn't been dating, this hasn't even really been like situationship, right? It's just been that in the past and in my teen years and early 20s, it's like I really liked this person, whatever, at different times, and you put yourself out there and you are vulnerable and you tell them what you're thinking and feeling, because me, I have all my emotions written all over my face. Yeah. That didn't work out, or it sort of backfired, or, and then it's just like, oh, that really hurt. That hurt more than I thought it would. Not that I expected them to return my feelings, but at the same time, it's a difficult pill to swallow. So then you go down like this spiral of, oh, okay, I thought we were on like a similar wavelength with the amount that we were talking and flirting and hanging out and whatever, and then that's just not come to any fruition. It's disappointing, isn't it? And I'm the type of person, I'm not very good at dealing with disappointment. Yeah. And then that's an excuse really for me to not try. Yeah. And I need to get out of my own head about that. And I do want to go on more dates this year. I've got to.
The only way to get out of it is almost to just do it. And just say, okay, look, I might have some really awful dates, but I've got to have them to get to the good ones.
Exactly. And like I said in a previous episode, other people's opinions of me are none of my business.
Yeah, exactly. But I think for me personally, if I think about just circling back to what my ideal date might be, it's hard to know what your ideal date is if you don't know who you're going on it with. Because
of course.
I could say anything. I could be like, I want to go on. This is actually something someone said to my friend once. He said, I'll take you on a picnic up a mountain. So
right.
To cut a long story short, there were two guys fighting over her in a club.
Love that for her.
She was sort of egging them on, going, oh, so like who's going to take me on a date?
I love that.
And one of them goes, I'm going to take you on a picnic up a mountain. So that's kind of like the crazy heights of expectations. I was like, would he want to take you on a picnic up a mountain? Like that's would he do that for you?
yeah.
But no, to think about an ideal date, I think it is dependent on the person. But if I did have to choose, just something low key to start with. Yeah. Even if it's just going for a walk together, or even doing an activity is quite fun, like going to a museum, or take someone to a place that you really enjoy going to. A friend of mine actually said to me the other day, she was like, if you make a list of all the places you've wanted to go to or see, even if the date doesn't go well and you don't end up liking the person, at least you've spent your time doing something you've wanted to do.
That's such a good
So you've tried a restaurant you wanted to go to, or you've gone to an event that you think looks really cool. Which I think is a really good idea, because then if you are disappointed by the date and you don't get on, or it's not a good time with them, you're like, well, at least I know I want to come back to this place and try it again because the date made it a bit rubbish, but the place was really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I thought that was a really good bit of advice.
That is good
I think,
advice,
I'm going to start making a list of places I want to go and scarily inviting people on them. On the days out with me.
Going off from that, do you think you're in a headspace where you would like to do some dating or no?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've, in the last couple of years, had some ups and downs in my personal life that sort of knocked me from even thinking of that.
Yeah, of course.
I was at a place where I was ready to start again, and then I got knocked and by something completely different to dating.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a bit of time, but I feel like I'm healed now and in a place where I can put myself out there and not feel, because I think another thing that is important to talk about is that sometimes if you're not in a headspace where you feel happy or content or good about yourself or any of those kinds of things, if you're not in a stable headspace, dating could make that a lot worse if you know you're the sort of person that takes things quite personally. So that was a reason why when I was feeling a bit sensitive and I had some self-esteem stuff that I felt I needed to work on, I was like, I can't go on a date because the work that I'm doing on my self-esteem is so important for me as a person in general. Outside of being with someone else, it's important. Yeah. But it is also important for me to be able to date someone so that that doesn't cause issues within a relationship eventually. Yeah. So I had to go, okay, I need to work on my self-esteem. If I were to go on a date right now, if they didn't like me or if something came up on it or if I felt like a bit insecure because they didn't seem to like how I looked or whatever, would that really knock my confidence and would that then hinder my progress and send me 4 steps backwards from all the work that I've done? Yeah. I feel like I'm now in a position where I can't be knocked because I think I'm the best person in the universe.
Absolutely,
yeah. Yeah, obviously I still have down days and there's still days where I have low self-esteem. That's natural. Everyone has that. But I do think I'm now in a position where I don't think I would take things so personally, and I'm aware that there'll be people out there that aren't right for me, but I also have to remind myself that I look at other people that way too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so yes, the answer is yes. I'm single and ready to mingle.
Oh, yes!
So,
because I know that we have actually joked about going to like a singles event, haven't we?
Yeah. See, this is the problem.
I don't know if I could do it.
The problem is, I am ready to date, but I also just hate dating apps, and the idea of a singles event does sort of make me want to stick a fork in my eye.
Yeah, no, definitely same here.
At the same time, I feel like I could use that as practice for when I happen to meet someone that maybe I don't meet on a dating app, or I meet through a friend, or I meet by going out. And also by going out more, you're naturally putting yourself in a position where you could meet someone. So I just need to stop being a hermit and
me too
live my life.
Let's get out of the hermit era together.
Yeah. So I do feel like it's possible. It is possible.
Definitely. I think so. Like, leading on from that, do you have any sort of pressures from family, friends to put yourself out there? Because I know I do.
I have definitely had pressure from friends. My mum hasn't really pressured me that much. I don't think she has, actually. No. But no, I haven't from my family. They've just said, "Oh, are you seeing anyone?" And I'm quite private, so I feel like I wouldn't want someone to meet my family until I was absolutely certain about them and the relationship.
Oh my God, me too. We're on the same page with that. Yeah.
I wouldn't know at what point I would tell my family I was seeing someone. I think that would very much depend on who it was that I was seeing and how I felt within that. Yeah. I mean, friends though have been like, you just need to go on a date, please. Yeah. Because they know that I can do it because I have in the past. And they also, I just know they want me to be happy and to have someone who cares about me and me to care. Because I enjoy looking after someone. Not that is what my role should be.
No.
But I like feeling like someone needs me, and I think everyone likes to feel needed.
Yeah, of course. I think for me, pressures from family and friends are definitely there. It's all like well-intentioned, and like what you said about your friends, I know my friends want me like to see me with somebody and to be happy.
They just want you to be secure, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And they clearly see that I deserve that more than perhaps what I can see of myself that I deserve that. And I know it's done with like good intent, but it's just like they don't necessarily understand what it's like to be dating as an adult, because the majority of my friends, they met their partners as like teenagers, early 20s, and they've been together ever since, and that is lovely. But but they don't know what it's like to actually be out here and dating and putting yourself out there, or going on a dating app and all of that jazz. And it can be a bit scary. So sometimes it's a me problem. I get on the defensive then. Yeah. And I'm just like, you have no idea. Back off a little bit.
But that's why it can be scary, because there's always that thing of, is someone going to leave me? Is someone going to hurt me? Yeah. And that's scary. But at the same time, I think that hurts less and is less scary than the idea of not being with anyone at all. Yeah. To me personally. Yeah. You don't need someone to be a complete person. No, you can be completely fine on your own. And also, if you're not interested in dating, it does not matter. Everyone has their own journey. Everyone has their own feelings about romance and dating and love and all those kinds of things. This is just our experience. It's not it's not what you should feel. No. Everyone's experience is individual.
Absolutely. And everybody's expectations, what they want, their needs, their circumstances. It's like different, isn't it?
What might be important to me may not be important to you within a relationship.
Yeah, and vice versa.
Yeah. And that's okay. But I think one of the best pieces of advice I've been given about dating since I've sort of openly vocalized that I want to start doing it again, other than choosing nice places to go that I want to go to and all of that, is to just sit down and go, okay, what do I want? Yeah. What is important to me? What am I actually looking for? I need to pay less attention to whether they like me and if they're going to like me. Absolutely. And more attention to what do I want? What would make me like someone else? Yeah. And whether that's, physically or emotionally. And I actually have to say, when I was younger, I think because, again, it comes back to self-esteem, I had a certain view of myself. I didn't think I was desirable.
Yeah, same.
So I kind of accepted the attention that I got. Yeah. And I think that's why I then was treated the way I was, because I was like, well, it's fine, otherwise no one will like me. Oh. Which is not true.
No, it's not true. But it's just like, I also have felt that way, and I know a lot of people have, and it's just like, oh, god damn, if you could just see all your amazing qualities. But on that's what I think I'm a bit nervous about with dating, because I like I said earlier, I need to figure out my wants and needs, and like you say, not focus on whether they necessarily like me or whatever. I've got to make sure that I like them. It's because, if I'm being completely honest, I don't think at this moment in time I trust my judgment when it comes to
But I think you need to just go on more dates to be able to do that. You're never gonna know.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Better to have tried and failed than not try at all.
No, I know. It just makes me a bit nervous.
Oh, yeah. It's nerve-wracking because it's vulnerable. You're being vulnerable in a way that you're not normally vulnerable.
Yeah. And I don't know whether I've got a good taste.
It doesn't matter, though, because it's for you. No, what anyone else thinks about it doesn't matter.
No, I know. It's just roller coaster, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is funny, though, looking back at my stories I was mentioning earlier, things like the Boris story. Yeah. I think that's such a funny story. And if you frame it in a way of, oh, okay, I'm going to start dating. Yes, you might have some rubbish dates, but you might have some really funny stories that you can then laugh about with your friends and talk about in the future.
And we all know I love to pull out a story.
Exactly. Yeah. So do we want to set each other a task?
Oh, God.
Do we want to set a deadline to have been on a date this year?
Yeah, okay.
Because I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Because we've both admitted we've thought of any excuse under the sun to not do it.
Yeah.
What kind of time frame do you feel like you need?
31st of December?
No.
I'm joking. I would say, should we say beginning of summertime? Or are you thinking shorter? I can tell it on your face you're thinking shorter.
I am, and purely because I just think we won't do it otherwise.
Yeah, okay. All right, okay. So what's your time frame then?
Is a month too soon?
Yeah, a little bit, but I could, to be honest, I could make it work if, see again, me thinking of excuses now.
That's the
I'm
thing.
Internally panicking.
That's why I think a month is...
Fuck. Okay.
I have to do it too. If you do it, I have to do it because I can't not do it.
And clearly vice versa.
Yeah. It can't be a date between the two of us. Just putting
Damn
that out
it!
All right, well.
That's that, I think.
Pleasure doing business with you. We will reconvene.
Is it?
Oh, that's a bit rude.
No, I just mean you said pleasure doing business with you. I still don't know how I feel about it, if I'm honest.
We'll reconvene.
Oh, Jesus.
And I believe at that point, it will be the episode after this. You find out. So we're coming at you from the past. I'm excited about it. I think it's good. Do you know what? I've started giving myself these deadlines, and am thriving as a result.
Okay,
Marathon?
clearly I just need to take a leaf out of your book, but I'm not necessarily happy about it. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, well, you'll get there. It's fine.
Okay, fine.
You'll thank me one day.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I will.
Yeah. Cut to 3 months' time, Lucy's had a whirlwind romance and she's getting married. All thanks to me forcing her to go on a date.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Jesus. That's that, I think.
Right. Hear me out. Would you rather be stuck in a romantic comedy with your worst enemy or in a horror movie with your best friend?
Oh!
Right? My answer was instant, so I'm interested to see what you go for.
Oh, do you know why this is really hard for me?
Why?
Because I absolutely hate horror films, but I think that would be the funniest thing to do it with your best friend, to be able, because you would have a laugh with that and also be a bit shit scared. But
I mean, you'd be terrified, but I think you get to that point of hysterical.
Yeah, you would.
Where it becomes not just hysterical scared, but hysterical funny.
Absolutely, to the point where you and your friend could think that you could defeat whatever it is that's after you, right?
Yeah.
So that's my initial thought. But then romantic comedy, that would be an experience in itself, but to do it with the person that you
hate the most,
right? I don't think I could do it. I really don't think I could do it, because unless it was the classic enemies to lovers, which isn't my favourite trope anyway.
What is your favourite trope?
Friends to lovers, I would say.
Oh.
But however, I do feel that I could possibly end up in an enemies to lovers situation.
Oh yeah, you're the like grumpy sunshine.
Yeah, people
vibe.
Piss me off,
yeah.
Right? And but then I would find some sort of common ground, right? And then it just spirals. So, such a tough choice. But I think I would have to go with friends and horror.
Okay, so within that, I was going to say, whichever one you choose, can you tell me? So either what the trope was in the romantic comedy, if you'd have chosen that one, or what the horror is in the horror movie that you and your best friend did.
I feel like, so romantic comedy, it would either be like enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, best friend's brother type vibe. But for the horror, I feel like it would be something like zombies or, down that route. Because if it was like ghosts and ghouls or whatever, you couldn't really defeat them. Whereas I think my attitude with a best friend in a horror, if it was something to do with zombies, I feel like we would just kick in to some sort of deranged instinct where we're like, you know what, we can do it.
I feel like you'd either, with zombies, it's interesting you said zombies, I feel like you'd either be like, all right, badass, just getting rid of them. But I do also feel like you'd get to a certain point and be like, oh, just bite me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, let's just get this done. We can be zombie friends instead.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's what I would do. What about you?
So, my very first instinct to this was that I would want to be in a rom-com with my worst enemy, because...
Interesting.
The thought of being in a horror movie with my best friend and something happening to them makes me so sad.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Right? Because it does, right? Like in the ones with all friends, one of the friends always dies. And it's like...
I didn't think about that.
The thought of either the trauma of losing your best friend in that situation, like some kind of slasher film where the murderer gets your friend, or...
Right.
Or your friend is traumatized seeing you get killed. And that ruins their life. Like your friend one of you loses out either way.
Can I just preface that when I said horror, I stick by my answer, but when I said horror, I think because I don't like horror as a genre anyway, and I haven't really watched many films unless they've been forced upon me, I've always watched or have seen stuff that has a bit of comedy to it. So that's where my brain instantly went. I didn't even think that.
Well, I mean, it can be funny, but
could get killed.
Well, exactly.
Oh dear.
That was my thought, because I've seen a lot of horror movies.
Okay.
So that, and also, yes, it is annoying that you're in a romantic comedy with your worst enemy. Yeah. But there is sort of there's a two for explanation as to why I would do this. I've viewed it in two different ways. Okay. One is that, okay, it'll be enemies to lovers, whatever. Yeah. You end up with a nice relationship at the end of it.
Yeah.
Or, technically, the question did not specify that you had to fall in love with your worst enemy. It just says you're in a romantic comedy with them.
True.
So it could be that they're like the annoying best friend of the guy that you like, or
True.
do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like they're annoying, but you'll get over it.
We love a loophole on this podcast, don't we?
We really do.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've ever seen What Happens in Vegas, Ashton Kutcher and Cameron Diaz.
Years and years ago.
So you know how they had two best friends who hated each other.
Yes.
So it could be like that kind of vibe. And they didn't like each other at the start either.
Right.
So
okay, I get that.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. What's yours?
Do you want to hear mine?
I do.
Okay, so imagine you're on a date.
Yes.
Okay.
In a month's time, or
Maybe.
before a month, actually.
You're on a date. Would you rather your date make up some very lame, obvious excuse to end said date to get themselves out of there?
Yeah.
Right? But actually say that to your face? Or would you rather that they say, oh, I'm just going to the bathroom and never return?
Oh, that's so easy. I'd rather than make up a lame excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think...
Then at least you know where you're at and you're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I can smell the bullshit, but I know what this is.
Because it's just rude to...
Yeah, it is.
But it's rude to ghost someone online, let alone ghost someone in person.
Yeah, I know.
It's just... I mean, okay, I'm going to put a caveat on that. If you don't feel safe on a date in a situation, obviously you are entitled to leave that situation.
Yeah.
But if it was just, oh, this person's a bit boring or they're not really for me...
Yeah.
You know, it's only like half an hour more of your time.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Just go, or if you can't wait that half an hour, just go, look, I really don't feel like this is working. I'm going to pay for my half of the bill.
Yes.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay, well, we've...
All the best.
Yeah, all the best. Well, we haven't argued this time.
No, I mean, we've disagreed but not argued.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's good to have,
improvement.
Spice of life.
Spice of life, absolutely.
Yeah. All right,
okay,
then.
Great.
All right, well, looking forward to figuring out who you finding out who you go on a date with.
My God, right. After we've
stopped...
Will
there be a John? Will it be a Malcolm? A Terry? No?
Why am I dating middle-aged men?
Well, they're coming up to you in the supermarket.
Well, true. I mean, we've got to discuss the finer details of this.
Do we?
Yeah.
You're going on a date before that date. That's it.
Wow, she's a hard ass today, isn't she?
I've got to be, otherwise you're not going to do it, my friend.
But okay, right back at you.
Yeah, and that's fine.
God, she's too chilled for my liking. She's unnerving me, and this is where I feel like the podcast needs to end today.
All right.
Stay
Gucci, everyone. I honestly need to stop saying that. I do apologise. But
let us know any sort of crazy...
Oh, yeah, dating stories.
Because
please do get in touch.
I love hearing other people's stories about this.
We would love to hear your stories. Love to hear
it.
Your thoughts on what an ideal date is. Anything we've discussed today.
Yeah.
Funny date stories you've had, or if you think dating's changed, your thoughts on the dating world, dating pressures, anything that we've mentioned.
Do you know what?
In the episode.
Some tips.
Oh, yeah, that would be good. All right, bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of 29 to Life.
She's been Annie.
She's been Lucy.
New episodes drop every Thursday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Catch the video version on YouTube.
Don't miss out on behind-the-scenes exclusives on all of our socials. You can find us with the same handle, @29tolifepod, on Instagram, TikTok and YouTube.
Or email us at 29tolifepod@gmail.com.
Follow, like and subscribe on whatever platform you choose. We would love to see you there.
See you next Thursday. Bye!